The best NA team of all time in PUBG, winning everything they could in their region in 2019 with over $500,000 in prize pool. Yes, we're talking about Tempo Storm, but where's Tempo Storm in 2020? Well, their org released them, they dropped them. Now, how could that happen? Welcome to the Final Phase podcast. I'm your host, sprEEEzy, and today we're going to have the coach of the ex-Tempo Storm team, and that is microstar. I'm very glad he could join us to talk about his team, NPL, what was going on in NPL, moving forward in these rough days for PUBG esports. So let's jump right in. Microstar is here with us. How you doing, man?
Hey, man. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I see nice weather there. I'm jelly.
Oh yeah,
Must be Cali or something.
Yeah, I'm in Beverly Hills right now, but it's always nice weather here.
Yeah,
60 all the time. You won't know what that means, but
yeah. But I can probably estimate it's like 15 or something.
I can't
Celsius?
do the conversion.
No. Oh,
No, I've learned this weird way of doing it. I'm sticking with it.
All right. Tell us a bit about yourself. You come from the UK, but you're mostly now in the US doing PUBG. How did you get into PUBG?
Yeah, so I've been playing like various esports titles for a number of years. You know, like back in the UK when esports wasn't so big, and that was while I was working full time as a graphic designer. And PUBG came out. I just really liked it. I just decided pretty much like it's going to be my last shot because I'm getting a little bit older now. Quit my job, just went in full time on it. Yeah, I guess the rest is history. Me and Sharky played together on FlyQuest. Pretty much it was up until December last year. Well, not the year before now. And then that's essentially when we both joined Tempo Storm. Turned out to be a decent move for us.
Yeah.
It was okay.
Yeah, so basically you won phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. That is something that no other team in any other region did, as far as I know. Winning all 3 of the phases. You went to all the global events as well. But what do you think made Tempo Storm so successful compared to other teams in the region?
And the first thing for me was, we were one of the first teams that actually took coaching seriously. Like as soon as the Pro League was announced, like we built this roster. The guys invested in the system straight away, which I think that's a rare thing to find. I think a lot of kids in esports think that they know everything and they can't be told what to do, right? I know the best. We're doing it this way. You can all shut up. But yeah, these guys invested really well, especially Maluk, because at the start, the majority of my work was with him, like working on rotation.
He was the captain, basically, or some kind of leader of the team.
Yeah. RIGL.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of the work was through him, figuring out how we rotate around the map. I think we were in the first phase, we were leaps ahead of the other teams in that regard. I can't remember how far ahead we ended towards the end, but we were kind of coasting in phase 1. But yeah, it's pretty much, we built a play style where we can adapt, which I know other regions, they've got a bit more depth of player base, so they kind of already do that. But especially in phase 1, we're probably the only team or one of few that was able to play various play styles. You see a lot of times so it's teams that will they'll play their one style, like they'll stay hiding on the edge, or they'll just keep crashing center compounds. But being able to Battle Royale, it's all about being able to adapt, really.
Yeah,
at the core of it. The better you can adapt, the better you're going to do.
So talking about adaptation, you played in a lot of global events as well, but things maybe didn't go your way in those events. What do you think are the main reasons for that?
I think for me, it was like a 2-part thing. Firstly, like the practice we had in NA wasn't that great. When you have all the best teams playing against each other there, we're not used to that. We were more used to being able to roll up to some teams and just absolutely stomp them, win that fight, and keep playing. But you take more casualties when you take a fight at a global. You'd lose one or two. So we weren't really used to having to save games as much. I think especially at the start of the year, you looked at teams like Liquid. A lot of their times they'll just be ratting in the center, hiding behind some cars, saving points, which is something we never had to do. And it's not an easy thing to practice. You can talk about it, you can say this is what we need to do, but if you can't actually do that in practice, you're not gonna be able to do it at an event. You want to practice like you play, right? I think the second part was at the start we had Zanpah and YaBoiDre, which both of those guys, they're not happy with PUBG. They didn't really want to play it. So when they were at our house where we'd play for NPL, they'd have to play, right? We have set practice hours, they have to play. But once they got home, it was pretty much after NPL, they'd fly home. We'd have a little bit of time off, then we'd come back to practice online. But they wouldn't be putting in those extra hours. So when we got to the events, we're probably playing our worst PUBG. That was pretty much all year. Apart from PGS, because we replaced Dre, we had Sharp Shot, but I think Sharp Shot needed more time to learn our system, to improve as a player. But yeah, for me, it's pretty much those two things, a combination of the both.
Yeah, so you said that Zanpah and Dre weren't really satisfied with PUBG, didn't have, I don't know, too much drive to play it outside what they had to play and what was mandatory. How was it? How many players are like that in the PUBG pro scene by your estimate? Because that was half of your team, so that's a lot of people, you know.
Honestly, it's a lot more. It's a lot. I think it's a lot more than you'd think. I know, especially in the NA scene, there was a lot of them that they do nothing apart from turn up for scrims, play the scrims, and then just go and play other games. Which that's another factor of how we did so well at NPL, because we were the hardest working team. We'd be the only team running double practice, and other teams wouldn't even show up. So, but yeah, I think across all the regions, a lot of players just don't enjoy playing it.
But why do you think what is the reason behind that?
I think it's hard to play outside of scheduled practice. And that's why Korea can do so well, as they run scheduled practice for 8 hours a day. Whereas in North America, you'd only get 3 to 4 hours a day. And then you're meant to go play pretty much just publics. There's not even a GLL, or there wasn't a GLL system until recently. Yeah,
so, no FACEIT, no GLL in NA for quite a while, right? And you also had less games during the season in NPL compared to PL and all that. I saw a lot of complaints about that.
Yeah, that was another hard thing with the internationals, is we'd end our season and we have a month off, and like PEL, they'd pretty much end, and a week later at the international. So they're still kind of ready. We have a month to players start getting a little bit lazy, forget about some things you've been working on during the season, and these are key things that are, going to win you a game or lose you a game, and that all adds up, especially in international when you're only playing a best of 12, like best of 16.
Well, I mean, I guess the NPL system was probably better if all the leagues could be on the same system. That I think that system would be better with less games, because would you really want to play 96 games when you look back compared to 48 or however many you played?
Yeah, I think 96 is too many.
Yeah.
It's not even, I don't care about the players' feelings, really. I look at it more from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
Do they really want to sit there and watch 96 games?
Yeah.
I know I don't.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially since nothing changes. Like every single game is the same. Only the map changes, but technically it's still the same thing. It's not like the game is so much different if you play it on Miramar compared to Erangel. So
I think that's why the Korean system is interesting, because they have that 24 teams, so they've got the 3 groups of 8. So at least every day you got the different teams. People have got to switch up their drop spots.
Yeah,
I think that would have made it a much better viewing experience.
Yeah, possibly, but that would then mean even more teams being in LA or in Berlin. Like it would be extra expenses, and then yeah. Well, that's a long topic, I guess, for some other podcast. But tell us how PUBG Corp supported financially all the teams that were in LA. How did that work?
So essentially you had 2 options, right? So for us, we got a house. So they would give us 20,000 per phase. So you get 60,000 for the year. Which if you lived in the right areas, that could 100% cover it, right? I mean, we had Reynad living with us, so we had a bigger house, so it cost a little bit more, but obviously an extra person was living there.
Yeah.
Then the other option was they essentially just had rooms booked out in I think it was called the Hilton Garden Inn, which is like a long stay hotel. So you'd have rooms that you can cook your own food in. Like they've got laundry there. Actually, it was a pretty nice hotel, to be honest.
How many teams took the second option?
The first phase, pretty much everybody. I think it was just us and Ghost in housing.
Okay.
Second phase, a couple other teams tried it, and a couple of orgs got some terrible housing and had to move back into the hotel. Yeah, I don't. For me, I think it was much better for us to be in a house rather than in that hotel.
Well, you had a very good team owner, I guess, and the whole team functioning, and
we
obviously
had really good support.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So I read an article recently about NPL, and some people are already saying that it was looking kind of bad from the start, already from phase 1. And when did you first see some signs that things aren't going the way that they should have been going?
There's always, whenever people ask me about this, there's one key thing that really stands out to me, and it was when we were at Face It, I got a message from our GM just saying like PUBG, they're ignoring all of our emails. Like we need a reply. So I went to find the head of NA esports, and I literally stood next to him and waited till he replied to the email. And that was, I was like, this is something that shouldn't be happening. It's literally, it's the team that's just won your league and you're just completely blanking them. But there was a lot more after that. I mean, the skins were terrible.
Yeah, but when did they implement them the first time?
I think the first one was phase 2, and then it was phase 3 was the bats, which everyone went crazy about. But I think between both of those, we ended up making like $300 or $400.
Yeah.
Just terrible.
So that was like $300 per team. So 16 teams total. That really isn't a lot of money that is split between all the teams. It's and they really chose the worst possible item they could, I think, right? I don't even know what item that is. It's a crowbar or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it is, yeah. But that's just, it's so frustrating that it's like it was a half-assed attempt. It's like, all these teams want rev share, so let's just throw something out. Rather than, it wouldn't even taken that much, honestly, just to figure that out and put something in good. Obviously, everyone wanted team skins, but look at the PGS skins. They were actually somewhat successful. They made millions out of that.
Yeah.
So they could have easily implemented something that at least made more money than $200.
But why do you think they didn't?
So honestly, I don't know. But what the staff have always told me is Korea make all the decisions. So for the whole year, it's always been, we can't do anything. We're waiting on Korea. So I can't reply to your emails. I'm waiting on Korea. And I don't know. I would really love to know if it actually stems from there or not.
Yeah, but I mean, the whole decision-making tree and PUBG Corp seems really skewed, and it's just not working properly. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and we always conclude it's got to be the reason that you mentioned. Korea making all the decisions, and they're really slow at it, and then they run out of time. Then they have to do like something just to please people, but it's still not enough, and it just keeps happening over and over. But it's interesting because it's not just esports. It's not just PUBG esports. It seems to be the same exact thing with the game itself, with the gameplay and everything else, the patches. It really seems to be the same exact thing. Like it's not different at all.
Yeah, it's actually crazy. I met a guy 2 or 3 weeks ago who's like I guess like a video game advisor. He's worked on a lot of big games, advising them how to do things. And he met with the NA side. It was all like good conversations. Really thought, oh, we could do something. And then the NA people go, okay, well, if this is going to go any further, you need to talk to this person out of the Asia office. And he never heard anything back. And that was the end of it. It just seems like that's pretty much what always happens.
Yeah, but do you know any people that make decisions in the Korean office? Like, do we know anyone outside of the people that we saw in some videos? You know, when they were showing some features that they're implementing and stuff. Other than that, I don't really know some Korean guy that is kind of like the face of the decision makers. No one, they're really trying hard to stay low and just do their job the way they want to do it, you know?
Even when we were in Korea for Nations Cup and even at the global finals, still yet to meet a single person that actually makes a decision, but we can dream. We can dream.
Yeah, that's just incredible. You talked about the NA head of esports, and he was called out a lot. That position was called out a lot. So what were some things that maybe the guy in charge was doing wrong that everyone noticed and there was not much being done about it?
I mean, honestly, he wouldn't reply to emails, and that was the biggest thing for everybody. I think if his issue was like he wasn't getting replies from the higher ups in Korea, Asia, wherever they are, like just literally reply to these emails and say, I've asked about this, I'm trying to find out, but they don't respond to me.
Yeah.
But he's taken all of this flack because he just decided, well, I'm not getting replies, so I'll ignore everybody else. So
that's very bad.
For me in that regard, he deserved all the flack he got. He could have set up an out of office replies. We didn't even have to do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
Just auto replies for him. But it's really frustrating for me because it was a whole year of that. Just constantly management at tempo saying we need replies to this. Like if we can't find any of this out, we're backing out. And that's what's happened with NA. That's why everyone's backed out.
Yeah,
just no communication.
But could you guys complain to someone?
Yeah, everyone tried, and it's like I say, it's always Korea make the decisions, But they've made changes now with their staff, so the guy that's taken his job over seems to be a little bit more active on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. So
at least that,
maybe
right?
A positive thing, Yeah, there could be something good to come out of it, but it's it's way too late for me.
Mm-hmm. But do you think that someone that has to jump into a hot seat like that can really do it that fast? Make changes, make good changes. Kind of rough. There's a lot going on,
but that's the thing. This whole time, no one's really been asking. Like people obviously been asking. We need these changes, but at the very least, reply to the email. Say you're trying to do it.
Yeah.
It was never about for the most part, it was never about getting those changes. It was about hearing they're happening. And I think you look at other titles like Rainbow Six, they're talking to the team owners constantly, getting their feedback on what they're doing. And that's just, especially in North America right now, like, orgs want to make money, so that's so valuable to them.
Yeah.
Actually having their feedback heard.
Exactly. Well, I mean, that's pretty rough. But how did the whole system work? Who was your first point of contact? You as a team, let's say, if you wanted to reach out to get a question answered or demand something, did you reach out to the head, or how did it work?
Absolutely not.
No.
We wouldn't get a reply. Honestly, it was the NA player handler Primrose. She probably did more than she was meant to do. You know, she would literally would take on everything, reply to everybody, try and find everything out that she could. Honestly, if it wasn't for her, it would have gone to shit a hell of a lot sooner. Yeah, she was really useful to us for sure.
Yeah, I remember her as the community manager before she took the esports department job, and yeah, she was doing a great job there. So, I mean, but what was her role, official role or job description?
My understanding, it was the NA player handler, so she was meant to handle any issues that players are having, and especially at internationals, she would be dealing with our team specifically, making sure if we had any complaints, which we always did, if we had any complaints, I would always go to her rather than the tournament organizer, because I'd shout at people, and then she'd shout at people, and we'd get stuff done, right? So yeah, honestly, without her, it would have probably been a hell of a lot more of a rush year.
Even though it's probably not her job to do certain things, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So OGN was a huge company from Korea that was involved in creation of NPL and executing it, and like the whole production and everything else. Did you speak to anyone from OGN, and what were their thoughts on what was going on? In case you know anything.
I mean, we spoke to them a little more towards the end, because obviously even here it was ran by, I guess they sent over some of their staff from Korea to be running stuff here, so it was kind of disjointed for us, because we couldn't talk to them. We just talked to, the American people who didn't really make the decisions.
I see.
We find that I think they got a new marketing manager at the start of phase 3, and they were showing signs that they were done with PUBG at that point. They wanted to get out. Wasn't doing what they wanted. But other than that, like, their production was amazing.
Yeah.
And the support they gave us. The studio was great. Like, food all the time. They literally, for the first 2 phases, they'd send a car to our house to pick us up, and then since then we'd book Ubers, they pay for it. They had so many extra shows. I think their ultimate goal was to like create a package and try and sell it to a TV channel. That was kind of what they told us.
It definitely looked like a step up from the Star Ladder and PL, in my opinion. Even though Star Ladder looked pretty good from the production side, but certain things weren't maybe the best. But NPL really, really looked good, and I think a lot of people like the 4-player focus. A lot of times that was in NPL, right? And stuff. Some people, it's a double-edged sword, I guess. But I think it produced some good moments at least. So
yeah, for me, I did like a lot of it, especially in the early game. Give them a chance to talk about specific teams. But I think at some points there'd be like a pivotal fight going on, and they'd just be following a guy hiding in a bush.
Exactly.
They needed to fix that a little bit, like go away from it if there's something important happening. But other than that, I did like it.
Yeah, but I mean, props to OGN for trying stuff out and trying to like modernize the PUBG viewing experience, if nothing else. So I guess you were pretty satisfied with OGN overall, how everything worked out with them.
Oh yeah, OGN were great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, 100% we would have wanted to keep working with them if it kept going.
Okay, that's great actually. Let's talk a little bit about viewer numbers at NPL. So I don't have the exact numbers right now, but I'd say that the numbers were lower than expected for a game of PUBG size. But the thing is, I guess you could probably agree with me. The games being that late and being on the West Coast, we saw it in PGC as well. That was a huge problem because only NA could watch NPL for the most part, right?
Yeah. I mean, that is a problem. But I look at a lot of like North American leagues and other games, and they don't really get viewership. Like, for me, it's crazy to me that when I'm in America, you talk about video games, everyone will talk about playing video games. When I was back in the UK, it was like almost taboo. Like, you don't talk about playing video games, you just play them.
Yeah.
But then the rest of Europe, I guess people talk about it. I'm not sure, but everyone seems to watch it, right?
Well, depends on the game, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Which game you're playing.
I like, for me right now, I compare like to Rainbow Six, which seems in North America has lower viewership or around the same as PUBG. But the game's supported, right?
Yeah.
So people are invested in it.
Yeah. Well, it's a completely different market. They're targeting it, I guess. It's a much smaller game when it comes to like player count, but it's got a rising esports still, I'd say, coming up.
I'd say I don't think that the viewership, I mean, it was unexpected, but comparatively to the number of players in North America, I guess it's not really that crazy. Like, it's definitely a really low number of players compared to other regions.
Yeah. Well, but they probably have a better conversion, Rainbow Six, from like a casual to an esports viewer than PUBG.
Yeah, because they've got that ranking system. They're showing off the esports in game. Which is all stuff that we were expecting from PUBG in the last year.
Obviously, yeah, which never happened.
And that,
except the little banners that were kind of outdated half of the time and stuff.
Yeah, the banners in the corner. No one ever looks at them.
No. I mean, certain games had even like autoplay streams when you boot up the game. You know?
Yeah, Overwatch.
That drastic, but Overwatch had, for example, Overwatch was a game that they literally targeted only NA in the end when it comes to Overwatch League. So they focused on NA, and that game is alive in NA, and it's pretty big. But in other regions, I'm pretty sure the game is almost dead. Outside of maybe, I don't know. Even in Korea, I don't even know. I don't follow Overwatch anymore, but the whole league is falling apart because of certain things, because they pushed it too far they went too greedy with their decision making. At least PUBG gave up in the first year of going something, doing something big. They gave up and said, you know what, this is not going to work out long term. Let's change it up completely. Let's make it more open. Do you think that PGS is a good thing? Like the whole system?
Not really.
No?
No. For me, I think the first thing, they should have just fully gone in on the league thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole year, they did all the work setting it up, and then they just said, okay, it's done now. Let's just leave it and not do anything and hope it works.
That's true.
So if it's hard for me to say it was the right move when I never saw them fully commit to the league system. If they did that, they did all the things that people wanted. They did the rev share, and it didn't work. Then I'd say, yeah, sure, this is a good system. But I understand why they're doing it, because the league system didn't work, which is their own fault.
Exactly.
And then and now they just want to to push this world stage so they can get the viewership from Asia, which definitely makes sense, right? Like how big the game is over there comparatively to the Western regions, like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And they don't want it. They don't want to turn around and say, we're not doing anything in Europe, we're not doing anything in North America, and only having an Asia league. They want to turn around to these Asian teams and say, yeah, this is still a world league and you can be the best in the world, like not just the best in Asia.
Yeah.
So in that regard, it makes sense to me, but it's still disappointing.
They kind of realize that they're not capable of executing certain things a certain way anymore. And I guess that has to be a good thing that they realized what they were doing wrong, or that they couldn't handle what they wanted to initially. But yeah, I agree with you that abandoning a system they were trying to build for months and months, even I'd say years, is definitely a bad thing. But I guess we're going to have to see how PGS is going to work out. But from what I saw, there's some issues with the qualifiers now. First of all, you've been combined with Latin America, South America, and Australia, and like the Oceanic region. How's that going to work out? Some teams are going to be left out, right?
Yeah. So when I first heard about this was at the start of phase 3 of NPL, which at that time I was saying, I guess it's a good idea, right? You if you bring these teams into the North American League, you're bringing a decent viewership. I think both of those regions were getting like 30,000 viewers off the top of my head. So you'd instantly boost NPL to like 60,000 and a little bit from the viewers in NA. But now I don't see the point in it. Like, they're still going to be investing quite a lot flying these teams over. There's only 6 slots at the global, so potentially both of those regions don't have representation.
Yeah.
Which I think they should. Like, I think there's some good teams in Australia, but honestly, I think those teams will likely still make it. But it seems a bit confusing to me if you're making this world tournament to have a chance where these regions can't actually make it. I think there should be representation from everywhere.
Exactly.
But some other people have said it to me that, you know, it should just be the best teams in the world. But then at that point, you may as well just predominantly just invite Asian teams.
Yeah. So. I guess. But that wouldn't work out, obviously. At least you want, at least one team from every continent and then the best teams. At least one. But this way you don't guarantee any Australian teams, any South American teams. That would be a disaster on the global event if there was no teams for those regions, for sure. But also, what about the prize pool in the qualifier?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people getting really angry about that there's meant to be no prize pool for the LAN in North America. Which, I mean, if the global stage is going to be as much money as people are, it's rumored to be, which is in the millions for each event, then for me, I think you take a small chunk of that and put it into all the qualifiers, so these teams can actually live. Because especially in North America, we're going to have, I think, 2, maybe 3 teams that are actually going to be signed for the next couple of months.
What are the orgs that are left?
So right now you've got Sonics, Wildcard, Riot Squad, I think. Okay. And there's only 3 that are still in. Mm-hmm. And even then, after this event, I don't. For me, if I'm an org, I'm not looking to sign a team unless they're making these global events.
Yeah,
because otherwise you're not making any money.
Yep.
So then these kids are still going to could potentially be going a year without getting paid, if not never get paid in PUBG again, which I don't think they realize yet. Which it really sucks because a lot of them have dropped everything in their life to play PUBG, and it's just vanished pretty quickly for them.
Yeah, but how many third-party events do you expect to come in till the end of the year?
For North America, I don't expect any more, honestly. I'm surprised GLL went so early on it, but I guess at the same time I'm not. That's where they started. That's where they got all their investment, was doing the PUBG stuff. So
Yeah, they were probably most ready out of all the organizers. So they're like, yeah, we need someone to do January and early February, and can someone do it? They were probably the ones to take that.
I think that they've gone so early on it. The other tournament organizers are going to wait and see what happens with GLL, and if something good comes out of GLL, maybe they'll come in. But I think you'd be crazy to announce something right now when GLL's literally, I think it's like two months away, pretty much.
I think it's less.
February, actually.
I think the first qualifier is like in a few days.
Oh yeah, no. For teams that have to go for the opens, the roster lock is literally on the 24th, so 2 days.
Yeah. That was really. I was looking at the dates. I'm like, is this really all this month and next month? That's it. I'm like, wow. So that was really last minute.
I think off the top of my head, I think the finals were like the last week of February. So
yeah,
they want to do it really quick, which was surprising. But I guess they got limited by PUBG on the dates they could do because of PGS.
We don't even know when PUBG let all these major tournament organizers know that there's not going to be any PL, NPL in 2020. So
yeah,
maybe they had only a month to prepare all this.
Well, yeah, knowing how it went for us as an org, they knew when we did, which was when they posted it on Twitter. Because they didn't tell us anything.
That's just insane. I can't wrap my head around it. That's you'd imagine that the main figures of your esport would know certain things before the average Joe, that just watches the games. But it seems like in PUBG Corp size, everyone's the same. And I'm just impressed that GLL managed to get it through and started already in this month. That's insane because they probably didn't know. Yeah, they probably didn't know.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I guess the guy that's in charge at GLO was at PGS, so maybe he was given a couple of rumors,
Yeah,
so he could get a jump ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you think PUBG is gonna go in NA in the next few years?
Right now, I don't know. I'm pretty negative about it. I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Where do I want it to go? Obviously I want it to be successful. I really like PUBG.
Yeah.
But yeah, like for me right now, it's hard to even commit to more time in PUBG.
Yeah.
Because you literally put another year into PUBG where you could be learning other titles. Like I could learn to coach another game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I really want it to succeed, but a lot of things have to change, especially in North America. Orgs have to make money now.
Yeah, it's tough for everyone. I mean, you guys are working together with the orgs to make it all work, and it's not working out for anyone. And yeah, you mentioned, what are these players gonna do if they don't qualify and stuff? Like, you're probably not gonna do anything for like 4 or 5 months. What are you gonna live off of? No one's got an org. No one's going to get paid. An org doesn't want to pay someone that's not in PGS. And you also mentioned that you don't expect any events for the NA region. How is the NA region going to keep up with other regions now?
Yeah, that's been one of my biggest concerns. It's, if for me personally, if I stayed working in it and we don't have as good practice. We don't have these tournaments. We're scrimming against open level teams rather than NPL level teams. How can we compete with Asia that's scrimming still 8 times a day? They're all getting paid to do that. When half of these kids in North America are going to have to go get part-time jobs to keep doing it. Yeah. So the level in North America, even with the same players, if we kept our same roster, our skill level is just going to deplete. It's going to be harder to compete with those teams. So it's going to be an interesting year for North America. hopefully those tournaments come in and things like that start to happen. But it's kind of just, as it always is with PUBG, you just got to wait until you see those Twitter announcements.
Yeah. So when it comes to you guys leaving Tempo Storm, it was what, a decision from the top that it's not really worth keeping you as a team anymore?
Yeah, we were planning to keep the team. Even while all the other orgs were dropping out, the turning point was the league going away. So
Yeah.
with the league gone, you don't have you can't go to your sponsors and say, oh, we've got this team playing on these dates at these times, so here's your exposure. It's now going to be this team. If we're lucky, our team will qualify for this event and you'll see them for 2 days and your logo will be there. So, and even throughout the whole year, we're the only team that won, and Tempo was losing money the whole year on us. So it just really didn't financially make sense, which they tried their best to keep us, but I don't hold anything against them. They supported us. They supported us so well throughout the whole year.
Yeah. And I mean, again, you were the most successful NA team by far, and still it didn't pay off for the org. That's really unfortunate. I guess that tells the whole story about the NPL ecosystem that PUBG Corp built or didn't build, that kind of made all the orgs go away at the end of the day. Well, to not end on a negative note, what are some other games, upcoming games that you're looking forward to, maybe to trying out, be pro at it, coach?
It's the 2 games, right? Well, 3 games, I guess, that I'm looking at right now is like where Rainbow Six is right now in North America. That's and where it's going. So, they've got a plan. I've been putting a lot of time looking into Rainbow Six, especially for a lot of these players in North America as well. Isn't that crazy to not be looking at it? Because that game's been so small for so long.
Yeah,
some of these players could definitely make the jump and be one of the best players in that game. Watching it, I don't think the level's actually that high right now. Obviously interested in PUBG Mobile. Still a little bit too small. I think it needs another year or 2 to see if it goes anywhere. In North America, at least.
North America, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm really excited for Project Day, but I mean, everybody is.
Yeah, we all are, basically. That's the PUBG, next PUBG for us, even though it has nothing to do with PUBG. I'll
definitely be keeping an eye on that, and if I like it, I'd probably start coaching that game. But it's all wait and see right now.
Yeah. But what are your expectations of Project Day?
I mean, for me, it's backed by Riot, so they're gonna, with the success they had with League, they're gonna try and push it.
Yeah.
And they already know what they're doing to some degree. Comparatively to PUBG, it just lets things sit. Riot already know, and they have that system in place to, I guess, somewhat replicate what they're doing already, depending on how they want to do it. So I'm expecting, even if the game's terrible at the start, they just keep developing it like they did with League. So I expect good things. Maybe not straight away, but you got to give it time.
Yeah, for sure. But they're pretty ambitious from the trailer, and that's not something that people address in their trailer, talking about technicalities and stuff. So that is a little bit exciting, but I guess we're going to have to wait and see and finally get in some closed pre-alpha beta test and just test the hell out of it. Possible. Yeah. So we're all looking forward to that. Matt, I'd like to thank you for coming to the podcast. And
thanks for having me.
Yeah, and have a nice day in Beverly Hills. And I'm off to bed because it's freaking late here.
My day's just getting started.
Yeah. All right. Catch you later, dude.
All right, cool. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, we finally got to talk about NPL. I'm afraid not that many players wanted to talk about the ongoing issues publicly. I understand it fully, but that's why I'm glad that microstar decided to join us for this episode. Make sure you follow him on Twitter, microstarGG on Twitter. If you like the podcast, make sure you leave an honest review on your favorite podcasting platform and subscribe to it. I'll see you in the next one.